What's up? Welcome to Making It Happen with Henry Ammar. On this podcast episode, I have so many words to say in the beginning. This was one of the first interviews I had. If you've listened to this podcast, you know I've interviewed some incredible people where I've told my friends I genuinely have all sorts of emotions coming through my body, like a little bit of nervousness, really excited because I am genuinely a fan of our guest today's work. Alison Armstrong is, to me, just gets it in so many levels and has directly impacted my life. And I'm not even exaggerating. I've shared her books and I've literally said, get your phone out and download Instinct with the Opposite Sex right now. And my friends are like, hey, I'm listening to it. And I literally had a friend download it 2 weeks ago and said that it's changing her life. So I cannot wait. Thank you so much for being on this podcast episode. I'm so excited.
Me too. We're going to have fun.
Yeah, totally. If you listen to her books, you know how funny and fun she is too at the same time. So thank you. So do you want to tell, I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit about yourself and what got you into this work, because you dive really deep in what you dive into. I guess I could tell you my perspective, but I would love to hear it from yours first.
Gosh, there's so many ways I could answer that, like past lives, what got me into this. There's so many ways, but I mean, one thing that got me into doing what I'm doing is I was probably born an activist, and I've always been compelled to speak up for those who can't be heard. And so it was the homeless and the hungry for many years, and then it was children and what they really need, and then it became men, that men are trying to defend themselves, and they can't be heard. Their motivations are projected onto them, the assumptions that are made, the myths that are completely invested in. Like literally, a man can't defend himself without being heard, as you're just justifying misbehavior, and that makes you even more of a jerk. And as I started studying men, which I did for my own personal reasons, and fell in love with you guys, it just became unacceptable to me for good people to be ill thought of. And for people who want to be so helpful and take care of others and strive to be honorable and hold themselves to account when they don't do the right thing, and just these incredible human beings we're so lucky to be on the planet with, to be thought the opposite of, no, that's got to die.
I love that. And you help us. Like, I read my first book I listened to was Understanding Women, and I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong for so long. Thank you so much for helping me, because I definitely have applied some of those things that have shifted my relationships for sure.
Yeah. It's so funny when you talk about listening to my books, because I've only actually published 3 books, and I only have one of them on audio, which I did myself, not because I'm a voiceover actress, but because I didn't trust anybody else to get it right. And I didn't mean for there to be voices different for the different characters, but when I went to do it, they spoke up for themselves, just like they did when they downloaded this whole movie into my head, right? But those are the only things I have ever done. But there's so many recordings on Audible, right, that are treated as audio books, that it looks like I've written so many books. And then actually, Henry, on Audible is only my oldest work. So anything I've done since 2013 is on our website, not on Audible, including the updated Understanding Women, which I hope you'll come see, because
I will.
Yeah, because women are so much in hunting mode now.
Yes.
That they don't do the gathering things. And so it can be confusing if you think they're always going to act like gatherers, when most of the time women are being hunters now, and that's even scarier.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can we dive into that? Because that is so good. There's such a difference in your books between understanding the modes that we can get involved in and the difference between men and women in our essence, right?
Yes.
And that's one thing that I was learning. I was like, oh, okay, I know I've been acting in this mode, or if I see women in hunting mode or gathering mode and polarity and all that other stuff, can you dive into the fundamentals of that? And I didn't know that, so thank you for letting me know about your website and the newer versions of your books, and I will let
Yeah,
everybody know that, and we'll put all the links in
yeah,
the show notes for everybody.
yeah. Definitely much newer, better version of understanding women. And then there's whole new things that just aren't even there at Audible. Um, you know what it's this okay, wait, you guys can't see us. You can't see me, right? Do you
No,
post this on YouTube?
I can, yeah, and I'll put clips of it on my social media so they could see you for sure.
Okay. Could I get a flip chart that I
Please,
just
that
moved
would,
over there before this that actually is like if you want to get straight to the
let's
point?
do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm so
Okay.
excited.
Okay. All right. I'm bringing a flip chart.
Oh, this is awesome.
I'm bringing a flip chart to your podcast.
Oh,
Okay.
I love it
Let
so
me make
much.
sure. How's that? Can you see that?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah, and
Okay, good.
if you're listening to this, the audio version of this, go to my social media or YouTube. I will put this up so you can see it. I'm so intrigued. I feel like this is awesome. Thank you.
Insta workshop,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So this is what I call the spiral, right?
Yeah.
And it can be an upward spiral, right? Everything keeps getting better and better, or everything keep getting worse and worse, a downward spiral,
Yeah.
otherwise known as into the toilet. And what happens is normally when something happens, like somebody does something,
Mhm.
we're trying to figure out why did they do that?
Mhm.
Why did they do that? Why did they do that? And that question usually leads to useless, dangerous information, because what we do, the answer to why they did that is what I would call false cause.
Mhm.
So we make a decision about why they did that. We act as if it's true. We may then make a decision about ourselves. And then, like for a woman, she'll think he did that because he doesn't love me enough
Mhm.
to have done the right thing. And then she'll decide he doesn't love me enough because I'm too assertive. I'm not pretty enough. She'll decide something, and then she'll create a strategy to either hide that about herself or try to contort and change that about herself, thinking that that's now going to fix it.
Uh-huh.
And it never does.
Right.
Right? So what happens, and you actually bringing this up, so what happens is we usually, the answer to why is at the individual level. It's because he is this, because she is this, because I am this. You know, I'm a third born Leo from an Italian family, right? Who, when I was 10, had this trauma, when I was abandoned by my blank, like, do you know, and I was left at school for hours or whatever. We have this whole story
Yeah.
that's based in being an individual.
Mhm.
And what I've discovered is there's actually answers to why that illuminate different things.
Mhm.
And we tend to focus on the individual, and it's, I would say maybe 2% of what's actually happening is individual,
Yeah.
right? So there's another whole answer to the why question that has to do with, was this person in hunting mode or were they in gathering mode? Hunting mode, which men and women can be either one, right? So hunting mode meaning committed to a particular destination, a result, a goal, right? An intention. So it's a committed state of mind, and it has a specific thing to produce,
Mhm.
right? And where gathering is exactly the opposite. It's being open.
Mm.
You're open to possibilities, alternatives, options. And these days, most men spend most of their time in hunting mode, and most women spend most of their time in hunting mode.
Mhm.
So whether she's hunting the next promotion in her career or she's hunting a husband,
Uh-huh.
it creates the same state of mind, the same, and has the same effect on the way the brain filters, because the brain has to filter. There's just too much input.
Yeah.
So when we're in a committed state of mind, the brain filters out everything it considers to be irrelevant to the goal or the destination, the intention, right?
Yes.
So the result we want to produce, it filters out everything that's irrelevant, which may include what your wife is saying. Right? Right? It also will filter out anything that doesn't validate the conclusions you've made, which are the basis of your strategy. So anything that invalidates your strategy gets filtered out, even if it's true. Gotcha. So whatever you've decided about yourself or other people or men or life or love or relationships, whatever you've decided as a reaction usually to being dishonored or disrespected in some way, betrayed in some way, it's going to filter out anything that would contradict that conclusion, which is why those conclusions are one of the most important things to release, right? Like in our Extreme Freedom course, we have people just make a list. What's true about me? What's true about the person with my name, which generates a different, what's true about me, what's true about Alison, 2 different lists, right? What's true about men, what's true about women, what's true about life, what's true about, like, just, if you ask, just dump all that out, just, right? A whole bunch of it, even the positive sounding stuff is worth releasing. Yeah. And then, there's so many ways to do that. So much more likely the answer to why someone did something is much more likely because they were in hunting mode and focused, or in gathering mode, really open and perceiving a whole bunch of stuff that may not seem like it connects. Much more likely it's one of those than it is that it was individual.
Yeah.
Okay. But then it also matters the gender of the person in hunting mode or gathering mode, because, for example, this committed state of mind, the fuel for producing results like that is testosterone.
Yep.
And men have 15 to 30 times more testosterone than women do, just naturally. Yeah. Now, there are a lot of men with low testosterone because our lifestyles don't support building testosterone. They don't support it, because what builds testosterone is rest. And if you think of, caveman and cavewoman, the sun went down, and what did you do? You either slept, told stories, or made love to somebody. We had no blue light concerns, right? We didn't have things that kept us up till hours and had us not get enough rest, and therefore no soldiers standing at attention in the morning, which that's how you got enough rest. Yeah. So
I just got that one.
Thank you. We'll just keep going, given what you told me about your amazing audience. Many who maybe are discovering this about themselves now. Yeah. So gender matters. So women can kick butt in hunting mode, but it's completely normal to end up with adrenal burnout, which is where half our testosterone comes from, and it comes with adrenaline, it comes with fight, flight, and freeze, it comes with a whole bunch of tension. It's not actually, it feels powerful to us when we're like that. It's not really sustainable, and it's usually excludes the kind of power a woman could access. Yeah. Which is very different and magical, right? Magical. So the gender matters of the person in gathering or hunting mode. All of this will matter and be more likely the why somebody did something than that they're the individual little, all those things we're fascinated by. And then even bigger are just plain old human instincts. And the thing that we've been distinguishing it's even bigger than human instincts. I assert everything on the planet has a hierarchy of procreate, then protect, then provide. And that matters because, every species risks its life to procreate. Yeah. That's why we have to teach safety, because our instincts abandon that, right? And women and men, what we most need and most appreciate about other people is when that person's in provide mode, when they're being giving. We all want people to be giving. And but protect trumps provide. It's procreate, then protect, then provide. And so when we attack each other on purpose, like with criticism, or we have the other person feel unsafe, like a man raises his voice, a woman now just went into protect herself mode, or maybe protect her children mode, protect somebody mode. Or if a man reveals himself and it's used against him, now, shut up the castle, right? Just lock down the castle. Or like with I distinguish between the coronavirus and the COVID life, like the coronavirus and the reaction to the coronavirus. And I had the coronavirus back in March. But so the reaction to the virus has so many men and women in protect mode.
Yep.
And we're protecting different things, and we're at war about what's more important to protect.
Yeah.
So
your phrase you said, you have to feel safe before you feel love. Right? And I think this is almost a demonstration of that, right? You have to feel safe before you allow yourself, or you can give or feel love.
Yeah, if you're in protect, if you have to, like, one of the things especially about men is if a man says no, if you ask him for something that he normally is generous with and he's like, just no, you could take that personally, or you could go, what's he protecting? Right? There's a good reason for that. He's generous. He cares about me. He's dedicated to me as a mother, a son, a sister, a friend, a wife, right? So what's he protecting? And just look, right? And it's when we look to see what are you protecting, it's often really moving, right? Like you may be protecting me from myself, right? Or you could be protecting the future. You could be protecting the whole family. You could be protecting a community or your own ethics or your own energy. You're just protecting your own energy, which women would do well to learn from men to do that, right? And so in this procreate, protect, provide, which ideally in itself is its own spiral. You create something, you protect it, you provide for it, and you provide it to the world, right? It's its own upward spiral. There's all these human instincts that come from that. And can I give you an example that most women don't understand?
Yeah, please.
So men get made fun of and even denigrated for being competitive. Like that is, the attitude is that's so childish. Why are you being so childish? And everything would work better if you didn't do that, if men weren't so competitive. Well, men didn't have like a committee meeting and decide to be competitive. This isn't like a broken individual and that's why they're competitive, right? Survival itself is competitive. Like the definition of survival is to outlive, right? Somebody won, somebody lost, right? And human instincts are all about survival. Every single one of them is about survival. And so it's hardwired. Competition is hardwired. And we can think it's stupid and immature and even caveman and unevolved. We can think all these things, that doesn't make it go anywhere. It's still in every cell of your being. And so what if, instead of beating you up about it, making fun of you about it, and working against it, what if we made a choice, an extraordinary choice of our own? Well, how do we work with that? Right? How do I set you up to win?
Yeah.
Right? How do I give you the information you need in order to give me exactly what I need, instead of thinking if you were smarter or more attentive or loved me more, I wouldn't have to give you that information. I wouldn't have to show you what affection to me looks like. That a slap on the butt to me is not affection,
Right.
Let me show you what has me experience affection from you. Let me show you whatever it is, right? But not show you because here, you idiot, let me show you.
Yeah.
No, can I show you so you win at this?
Yeah. What's a good
Right?
example of that? Like, what's an example of, so someone listening saying, okay, I want to set my man up to win or set men up to win, or I, as a man, want to understand this a little more. What's a good example of that?
Well, okay, I'm going to start with little men and young men,
Okay.
right? Can you imagine instead of the teacher taking roll and telling you to sit there for 55 minutes and do what I say when I say it, what if the teacher said, okay, what we're working on today is this. How you win at this is by um, by filling out this sheet with the answers to the questions, and you can use your book to find the answers, but be prepared to defend why you picked that answer. And when you're done and you turn it on and turn it in and I check it, the rest of the time is yours to use as you wish, as long as you don't disturb anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, this is how I win, and there's a prize called I get to do what I want. And this is for all the homeschooling going on now, everybody, because it's gotten so individualized. But seriously, boys would go from failing in school to excelling in school.
Totally.
And because they instinctually, you can only participate in things that you think you can win at. You can only spend energy on things you think you can win at. And boys get accused of ADD, which is testosteronically impossible. you have attention focus by nature, and the only thing that's happened if a man seems inattentive is that there's nothing presented that's worth spending that energy on, which means it has to be something he thinks he can win at and that is worth winning at. So when a boy says, how will I use this in my life? Tell him.
Yeah.
And if you can't think of a way he'll use it, then don't teach it. Shame on you for teaching useless stuff.
It's funny,
Right?
'cause even when you're like, okay, this is what you do, naturally I felt my body go, tell me what I should do. So even me sitting here, I'm like, what do I need to do?
What do I need to do? How do I win?
How do I
Right?
win?
And yeah, how do you oh my gosh, how do you win at the holidays?
Uh-huh.
The expectations of the holidays are huge, especially like for a boyfriend.
Right.
Didn't you get the memo with the job description that tells you everything you have to do at the holidays? Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, well, let me think, what do I need you to do at the
Yeah.
holidays?
How do you discern? Because isn't it true that for like a man or a masculine energy, they don't like to feel controlled or criticized. So how can one help them know what to do without making them feel less than?
Well, first of all, don't think they're less than.
Right.
Right? Right? Start with, this is a hero who could save the world, and I don't want to waste his time dusting the piano unless dusting the piano is going to save my world.
Right.
In which case, I'm going to make sure he knows how much this means to me.
Yeah.
Criticism comes from an expectation that you're like me and you should already know this and I shouldn't have to tell you.
Mhm.
Instead of you're completely different and you're beautiful and you're wonderful, and I'm going to tell you because I want to preserve that, because you're awesome. So forgive me if I've told you this before, but these are the things that matter to me.
Mm.
This is what's important to me.
And as a protector, you're like, help me help you. Like, I would love to
Yeah,
do for you, you know?
yeah, it's called partnership.
Right.
Yeah, it's called partnership. I know you want to provide for me, so can I tell you what would mean the most?
Yeah.
And because what men and women both do is we project onto the opposite gender what matters.
Yeah.
So, and this is how we have so many disconnects. For example, most men, most people in hunting mode, when they're upset, they want to be left alone.
Mm.
Leave me alone. Don't provide any more stimulus. Let me get clear, get my act together, get my head straight, get myself in the space that I can focus on that. Well, I'll be back when I can. And most women, when they're upset, they want to be soothed. Honey, what can I do for you? Do you need a hug? Do you want to be held? I'll be the squeeze box for you so you can defrag, right? And so when a man's upset, a woman will try to hug him and pet him, and she doesn't know that the adrenaline in his veins makes that touch literally sting his skin. So he throws it off, and then she's all bent out of shape. Plus, that seems violent. That was violent.
Right.
Really? Right? And then most men, when a woman's upset, he'll leave her alone. Don't leave a woman alone unless she says, I'll call you.
Right.
You know, like women want you to come save them from the monster that just took them over. Yeah. Much of the time, you got to ask. So is this a leave you alone time, or is this a come save you time?
I love the directness. I think it was an In Sync with the Opposite Sex where you said to be more direct and be more open with exactly what you want versus beating around the bush. And you're like, it's just so much easier. And I was like, I know. And I think asking the question, like, is this what you need or is this not what you need? Not assuming that she wants what I want or she'll need what I need, because most likely it's probably not true.
You know what? If I had it my own way for like couples, there would be like a thing on the bedroom door or on an office door where, like, if it was a doctor's office, they'd put the patient file there. Only there would be like a sign, right? And it would be a please come in. Only come in if it's an emergency, right? And please don't come in if you don't need me, right? Or it would be like, save me, leave me alone. It might be different colors, right? And so if someone goes into their bedroom and slams the door and then goes, oh wait, I got to do the sign, and then they put the right sign up, and the sign is the one, come save me from myself. I wish we could just, I mean, in order to do that, we'd have to accept that we're human, right? We'd have to accept that we get upset out of nowhere, like a drive-by shooting. We'd have to accept that we don't always need the same thing, right? We might put both cards out there, which says, I'm confused. I don't know what I need, but come in at your own risk. Yeah, open the door carefully. Now that you see my face, do you want me?
That would help a ton, and I think trying to discern it is always the trick, or what someone's needs really are at the moment, you know. And I think I think if we could provide that, it would just create a stronger safety net to where then we can cultivate a safe space of communication and what really happens. Because otherwise, we're just constantly like launching each other into these stress responses or fear-based responses, and it's that downward spiral I'm looking at behind you. So what would you say for the men and women listening? What would you say in terms of understanding each other? I know please, if you're listening, just go to her website and listen to the books. I mean, or the seminars or whatever there is, because it really does help. Like, even some of the principles that you've said to me have been so powerful. I said to me because it feels like you were talking to me, but the truth is, you know, I was talking to you as if you were talking to me. But we're just like, when a woman, sometimes it's like the hold the trash can analogy, right? Sometimes, and me, I'm a fixer, but sometimes she just has to let it out of her system and put it in the trash can, and you're like, are you done letting it all out of your system? And at first I was like, oh, that makes sense. I always want to fix, but they're like, what are you doing? Don't fix me. And you're like, well, they don't want to be helped. It's like, no, that's not the case. We just operate so differently, you know? Yes. What would you say some of the main differences, I mean, in a general sense, because they could dive into the seminars, of men and women? That would be good to understand on a fundamental level.
Oh, man.
Is that too much of a loaded question?
It's huge. And I'm compelled to say, in the example you gave, if a woman said, is how you can fix me is hold the trash while I vomit out everything that has invaded my body and prevents me from being myself.
Yeah.
then a man's like, oh, wait, let me get the trash, right? Like, you just want to do it will work.
Right.
And that's one thing they love about men. Like, you just want to do what works.
Right.
And sometimes you get accused of being boring and having routines and intimate situations. Well, but you taught me that's what works for you. Why wouldn't I do what works?
Right.
You want something different? Tell me what'll work is do something different. Oh, sure. And then give me points for trying, for being spontaneous, for experimenting. Don't, say that was the wrong experiment. Go, you get 100 points for trying. Now, let's make some modifications, right? And what if, we call it a process of clarification. What if we approached everything about relationships as a process of clarification? What if we approach life as a process of clarification, right? See, knowledge, clarity, follow-up, appreciation. Okay, now to answer your question, oh my gosh, we have 100 hours of online video answering this question.
I know.
Nearly 100 hours, that just, don't worry. And then there's like, I don't even know how many more of audio. I would say that here's a fundamental. Men, you think you're simple, and you're not.
True story.
Yeah, and women, we think we're complicated, and we're not. Most things are the opposite of what we think.
Wow.
Yeah, most things are the opposite. And as a man, what you completely take for granted is you are constantly reconciling a paradox, literally, of life and death. Like, at an instinctual level, every man you meet could be a man that you feel compelled to kill, or, completely reduce their ability to cause any harm, whether that's literal or figurative. But it also could be a man that you would die for.
Yeah.
Every single man could be that.
Yeah.
And there's a question. We found out there's a variation of questions that when a man approaches another man, he might be asking the question, can I take him? Wow. That's something that's very primitive, getting resolved. Some men don't have the question, can I take him? Some men have the question, how can I take him? Wow. Yeah, how can I take him? And whereas women, we have more the question of, can I attract him? Right? Like, we'll approach a man, for example, with, are you the tiger or are you the protector? Which one are you? Are you the tiger I have to defend myself against, or are you the person who's going to defend myself against the tiger? Wow. And are you a protector or an attacker? But then we go to, can I attract you? Yeah. Right? It's so primitive and takes us out in so many ways, especially competition between women is, can I attract out her? So if it was a choice between me and her, which one of us is he going to save? Right? So how do I make sure I'm more attractive to him? I'm more important to him. I'm the one he values more, because then he'll save me and let her die. We don't know he'll do everything he can to save both of us, because that's who he is, right? That it's irrelevant to who we are. It's who he is, that he's going to do whatever he can to save both of us. And he doesn't even have to know us. He doesn't even have to like us. He could even be mad at us at the time, right? That his protector is part of who he is. That's a gift to us, right?
That's really good. I mean, it's interesting because I love that you talk about the instincts of us, because I think a lot of times, I was telling Alison earlier, I love how many layers deep you can go, because your information is not just something you see, but when you really understand humans on an instinctual level, what you're saying is just how we're built. Like, you know, truthfully, that's when, if a man walking by, I'm thinking like, wow, that is true. Like the people, and then I just had the experience the other day where I'm single. And so you can give me some advice for being single and what I could do to find the best person to attract or be whatever that is. And it's funny because, you know, as you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. And it's just such a relief when you understand that's what she needs. If you're interested or you're dating somebody, they need to feel like you'll protect them over everything and you have their back. And they're, you know, and because on an instinctual level, if she doesn't, she goes into that fight, flight, or freeze mode. Therefore, she goes from providing to protecting, and therefore there's distance, and then polarity's gone. And maybe one thing you said is a hunter will never go after another hunter. So then you both become hunters, and polarity's gone, and boom, now the clash happens, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, women have come to believe that if I can show you how strong I am and prove to you that I don't need you, that will make me more attractive to you. No. You already know how strong we are. Your instincts tell us to find the strongest woman that you can attract as a partner, because if she's not strong, then you're weakened by it. You're not better off in relationship.
Right.
But she also needs to be someone who needs what you are.
Yeah.
Which means I value what you are.
Totally.
Right? And so proving that I am what you are, you know, that doesn't ignite anything, right?
So good. That's so true, because for me, yeah, I mean, it's funny when I was reading this book and it said, what do you need? And as I feel as a protector, you kind of need to feel needed, or you need to feel like you need what I have so I could be there for you. But if you're so independent and you're so strong and you don't need me, then I just don't have that attraction, because I don't feel like there's that thing. And so you know, a lot of my friends are really strong hunters, and I'm like, hey, like, you keep attracting guys that are more gatherers or more that can't really protect you, and you like them for a few months, and then after a few months you're like, I can't respect them. But it's a cycle. Right. And they're like, but I feel so vulnerable when I feel like I need somebody. I was like, well, what are you going to choose, you know? So what advice would you give someone, like, to help them get into that essence of, or actually, can I ask this question? How does a woman get into her, like, what does it look like for her to be in her strength? Because as you said earlier, it's magical. It's so much stronger than they know that they don't have to, like, fight and prove it. They just are. Right? Is that the right question?
It's a great question, and it brings up this part of human instincts versus human choices. So we would call this the difference between human normal and human spirit.
Yeah.
And part of the problem, and thank you for encouraging people to go to the website. You can go to Understanding Men or AlisonArmstrong.com, and it'll get to the same place. And right on our homepage is if you click on that, you can sample part of our Understanding Women course, which talks about this whole safety thing and why safety is central to understanding women. Now, because of the way that we're put together, instincts have no limit. Instincts, I call it an enough switch. So there's no, we've created enough, we're safe enough, I've provided enough. No. We're going to rent a storage facility and keep gathering, keep hunting, keep providing more and more and more, and we'll fill our homes and our storage facilities with all we've provided, because the instinct doesn't shut off. And same thing with safety. We're never safe enough. As a woman, we're never safe enough. And so if a woman is going to step into her true power, she has to actually consciously make the decision. She has to choose, I'm safe enough. I am surrounded by sheepdogs, right? I have my own strength, and I'm surrounded by sheepdogs. There are actually very few wolves in the world. And if I stop emasculating my sheepdogs, they can fight the wolves. And if I actually ask my sheepdogs to tell me who's a wolf, Because as one man said, you can't tell the difference between a wolf and a sheepdog if all you're looking at is teeth. And who better can tell the difference between a wolf and a sheepdog? A sheepdog. So when the sheepdogs in your life tell you that man is up to no good, quit arguing with him. Go, thank you. I thought I was going to rehabilitate him. Thank you. I thought I was going to save him. I thought I should give him another chance to be a good person. I would give him yet another chance to be disrespectful for me. Thank you for telling me that's a wolf, right? Or that's a sheepdog that's been peeing on the carpet for so long, he's never going to stop. Don't take that project on, right? And I mean, really, it's one of the biggest gifts that studying men gave me was to realize I'm safe, right? Like, I live alone in the countryside. I live alone. Since Greg died, right? I live alone in the countryside. Sheepdog, 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 sheepdog. I have sheepdog, sheepdog, sheepdog. I have so many men who would literally, because I live in the country, show up armed and drawn. Right? They have concealed carry permits, and they would show up ready to do battle with anybody, right? Like, and they're amazing that way. They'll feed the cats and they'll show up armed, and they may show up armed to feed the cats. So if a woman can actually, whether it's her faith, right? Like, it's a spiritual quality of, I know that I am loved and cared for and God's looking out for me, or it's, I'm surrounded by sheepdogs. I have a sticky on my mirror that says I am deeply loved and fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And I just keep reminding myself of that. And even by Greg, little spirit person, he's still around. Yeah. Seriously, Henry is he's still protecting me. He's still providing for me. I had this first date on Friday, and I drove his car to the first date because it's like hanging out with him, and I love driving his car, which, it's not my car. He gave it to me. And I'm showing up to this first date, and there's a parking place right in front. And awesome. I called Greg the parking king. He could manifest front place parking places, all the time. I was just like, thank you, honey. And it was just like he, just had all these little blessings, over, I picked this man for you. I picked this man for you. And here, to show you even further, here's a parking place. I want you to go on this date.
That's so cool. What a cool awareness to have,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I love that, because I know for you, I mean, I can't even imagine, but having that safety of knowing that, like you said, everybody has it differently. And if you believe in that, how beautiful is that to know that you are being watched over and that you are open enough to see those signs if they're given to you, right? And to trust the sheepdogs in this realm, and if you believe in angels or God or whatever, to do that. And like, it changes everything.
Yeah. It does change everything.
Yeah. Oh man, I can literally talk to you for 700 hours, and I could. I have a couple questions. I know we're running out of time, so I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm so grateful for this, honestly, and I am thrilled that we got to connect, and just to be able to ask questions, and for my audience to know who you are is even more important for me, because I've been personally blessed by your work and who you show up as, and so I am honestly, sincerely grateful for that. And it's blessed my life, sincerely. Do you mind if I ask quick questions that my audience has asked?
I don't mind, but can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, please.
Well, you know how you said it felt like I was talking to you?
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I have a relationship with every human on the planet, past, present, and future. Mm-hmm. And whenever I'm talking to everyone who will ever hear this. Mm-hmm. Because when it comes down to it, I'm a messenger. Yeah. And just thank you for giving me the opportunity to do what I was put here to do.
Oh, thank you. It's definitely a win-win then, because it's so mutually beneficial. I love that perspective, as someone as well that I'm here. I left a really, really good job because I was like, no, that's not what I want to say I did with my life. That I bought this huge building and made millions of dollars. It's like, no, like what do I want to say? What am I here for? And 4 years ago, started this full time, and there's nothing greater than fulfilling and living what you feel you're supposed to do. And when you see someone else do it like you, it gives me and other people permission to do the same. So thank you so much. I can go on about you for a really long time if you can.
Okay, ask me these questions. We'll have like a speed round.
Okay, speed round.
How's that?
Yes.
I'll try to give short answers, which I'm not good at.
This one's okay, I'm going to give a background on this, but Brett asked, in sync with the opposite sex, I know exactly what he's talking about because I had a similar question. She's adamant about not dating someone for whom you have a strong physical attraction for. I can see that if it's the only attraction you have for them, that would be a problem. But what if it's just one component you're attracted to? Are we supposed to only get serious with someone that's just okay, or in our attraction to them? And so, because I remember you're like, if you're super attracted to them, you can't be yourself. And if you're not yourself, then they're not going to feel safe, all that other stuff. So what would you tell Brett?
Well, I love how he worded it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And for women listening, a man being physically attracted to a woman, we think when you say that you're talking about our bodies, that you like my body. Mm-hmm. Women don't know that when a man says he's physically attracted, he's talking about his body. That the part of him that's attracted to her is his body, right. Not his mind, not his spirit, not his emotions, right? And so that's important to know. Yeah. And that when the only part that's attracted is his physicalness, then he is only an object for himself, responding to object urges, and then he'll interact with the woman as an object. Mm-hmm. And that's not bad. It's just instinct. Right. And so if you want just a physical relationship, well, you got everything you need for it right there. Right. But if what you want is to love and be loved and be in love and be cared for, then that's going to be the mental and the spiritual and the emotional attraction. And so I love that is it Brett? Yeah, I love that Brett was saying, well, but if that's not it, right? Not all of it. Because to generate a romantic relationship, a man has to be both physically attracted and mentally or emotionally or spiritually attracted. He has to have both. Otherwise, he's going to be your friend. He's going to be your big brother, right? And physical attraction on the part of a man, frankly, is so much more important. Because if we're going to eat, you got to cook. So I can eat without cooking. I don't have to. I can be passive, right? So keeping in mind our audience. I love them. So that physical attraction is part of the definition of romance for a man. Both being emotionally and physically attracted equals romance, right? Yeah. Now, but you guys are also right. It depends on the degree of that physical attraction, because there's a point at which the physical attraction makes you stupid, makes you, if you're so attracted that you're exaggerating your accomplishments instead of representing yourself honestly, if you're so attracted that you're concealing things you're sure would have them reject you, then you're not representing yourself honestly. You're also disrespecting yourself, right? In that I am everything that I am. Right. I'm everything that I am. And I'm worthy and I'm lovable and I'm awesome and I'm human and I have places I need support in. But yeah, you want me? Like the whole, this is all of me. And if we started just showing these parts that we think will be attractive and conceal what we think will be unattractive, then we're on quicksand from the very beginning. We're not building a foundation for a real relationship. Yeah. And if you want a real one, which is a whole other topic because they actually don't exist. But if you want to, that's what our program Lux is about. How to have extraordinary relationships is find out there's no such thing as a relationship. But so it's all we got is how we're relating in this instance, in this instance, in this instance, and in this instance, in this instance, in this instance. And if how you're relating in that instance is dishonoring yourself, not being true to yourself, then you got nothing to work with.
Right. I love that. Thank you so much. And if she mentions our audience, it's because I have youth audience, children that are 12, 13, and 14 that listen. So when she goes and talks about certain things, she uses a metaphor like if you want to cook or to eat. That's what she meant. Just so you know if you're listening and you're older. Can I do a quick speed round on maybe one or two more questions really quickly? Is that okay?
Yep.
My friend just got engaged, and we nerd out about your content. And he said, what's the single most important thing that differentiates a successful marriage relationship from one that struggles?
Oh, gosh. Okay, can I say the first thing that came to mind about your friend being engaged?
Yeah, he just got engaged.
And then I'll answer the question. Okay, so being engaged is completely different for men than women in almost all cases. Okay? A man who is engaged is already married. Okay? He decides to ask. She says yes. They close the deal. He's now her husband. He's now going to consider himself accountable for particular things about her. He's taken that into account before he asked. He thinks he can succeed at that. He's got a whole new ball game. He's going to probably need more support, more appreciation, more affection, because he just upped everything.
Right.
And he is all in. He's committed. He committed. He bought the package. He's committed.
Yeah.
He is a married man. God bless your friend for that. It's awesome. The myth of men being non-committal is like, if I could blow it up, I would. Now, here's the problem. For his fiance, she's looking at several different things. One is that unlike him, she is not wired to buy the package. Women commit one acceptance at a time. One, not 100% acceptance. He just did the 100% acceptance dive.
Right.
Right? If somebody says something about her, he'll say, that's just how she is. That's just how she is. That's just how she is. Because he took the whole package home. Women have, one of the problems with being engaged is now, yesterday he left his socks on the floor. Today he leaves his socks on the floor forever. Yesterday he told stupid jokes. Today he tells stupid jokes. The same stupid joke forever. Is he going to chew his food like that forever? Is he gonna... And so she's confronted by the things that she hasn't communicated. Honey, I could admire you more if, or honey, you would really help me and I wouldn't think you were a jerk. The Crumb Story. There's a Crumb Story in Understanding Women about what I thought of my husband every morning because of the crumbs on the counter. It took me years to communicate that I started out every morning not in love with him. You know, and even communicating things like, when you do these things, I'm more in love with you. When I do these things for myself, I'm more available to be in love with you.
I love that.
When you do these other things, I'm less in love with you. When I disrespect myself in this way, I'm less available to be in love with you. Like, you know, when you do this or this or this, I respect or admire or just plain like you. I just like you so much, right? And when you do this thing, which I've been putting up with for the last 5 years and can't imagine being married to that for the next 80, I lose respect for you. And that's why I never want to, you know, be closer to you when you've done something like that, because respect for you is one of the things that's going to have me want to be closer to you. So thank you for your explanation. I appreciate it. So we have to, if we're going to have a solid marriage, like your friend asked, we actually have to start, we have to take a good look at, we have to be analytical. We have to end up being clear about, honey, when you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, two things happen for me. One is I have less respect for you because you didn't keep your word. And two, I am scared out of my mind because how the heck can I count on you to save me from the tiger if you don't keep your word? So either don't say yes to me, and if there's anything I'm doing that's having you say yes when you don't mean yes. So if I'm putting up too much pressure and I need to chill out and not keep the pressure on until you say yes and cave in, if it's on me, I'll take it on because I need real yeses. Not verbal yeses that are action no's. I need verbal yeses that are action yeses, and you become accountable for that, in which my admiration and respect and affinity for you will just grow and grow and grow, and we'll have our own little upward spiral. And then ask the terrible question, is there anything that you need from me that you've given up on getting? Right? Is there anything you need from me that's too hard to get from me that you're about to give up on getting? Is there anything that I do that has you have less respect or admiration or like me less? And I asked Greg once, I was doing a written interview and they wanted to know what my weaknesses were. And I said, I'm having trouble with this question. Can I tell you what I wrote down and tell me what my greatest weakness is? And he's like, okay. And everything I told him, he'd say, oh no, that's actually a strength because look, you do this from that. And everyone, it was like, no, that's a strength because you do this. And then that happens. And then I said, well, then what is my greatest weakness? And he paused, he thought, and he said, sometimes you hang things on doorknobs. And I said, and I did. I always hung things on. This needs to go to that door. This needs to go there. I just would hang. This got to go back to the store. This got to go downstairs. I always hung things on doorknobs. It's made sense to me. And I said, why didn't you ever tell me? And he said, I told you once, years ago. Well, he didn't follow up.
Right.
He didn't follow up. He didn't actually say, you know what? My life would be better if you stopped hanging things on doorknobs because it's irritating.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bite out of the love bubble and me thinking you're just, everything. No, it takes a little, she hangs things on doorknobs. And I actually, after that point, I only hung things on my doorknobs, which I considered it was a right for me to hang things on my office door because this is my office. I can hang things on the inside and the outside.
That's amazing. That's great insight. Thank you. I want to be respectful of your time. It's been over the hour, and I literally would selfishly talk to you for 700 more hours. And I guess you can, if you're listening to this, please, I will put the website in the show notes, and I will lead people to your programs. And I am not just saying it. I get nothing from this other than the satisfaction that you get to gain more knowledge and have better relationships with yourself and with other people, because I know that's what it's done for me and doing for me. And I will go and listen to the new version of Understanding Women. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and please watch it because, I'm a physical comedian and you'll get
So
to
fun.
see
Oh my
me.
gosh. Literally.
You'll get to see me do so many things.
Okay, cool. I didn't know it was visual, so I'm gonna watch it. And it's
Totally.
so funny. Literally, when anybody I told I'm interviewing you, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so funny and knowledgeable. Like funny and knowledgeable, like came together multiple times when I told people I was interviewing you. So it's really, really entertaining and it's very edifying. Is there anything you want to close out with? Anything that comes to mind?
Just that, yes, there's a lot to understand about ourselves and other people. There's a lot to get clear about what we need to have happen, we need to have never happen, right? The qualities that we need in other people. I'm working on a project this year for myself of eliminating the things I do that cost me respect and admiration and affinity for myself.
I love that.
right? Where I look around like my house or my yard and go, ew, Alison, you're such a, right? Like, and so honoring ourselves that way is so important. So yeah, there are a lot of pieces, but the good news is that it's radioactive, right? Like just holding the trash for a woman to just empty out everything that filled her up that day will give her so much more resilience to having her feelings hurt.
Right.
The payoff is huge, right? And waiting 30 seconds for a man to answer a question, the payoff is enormous. I mean, just that one thing, we call waiting for the well, that one thing has, I get emails that transformed their marriage. You know, it saved their marriage. Like there's whole new possibilities of their marriage just because she stopped jumping on that he didn't answer instantly. So yes, there's a lot to know, and every little bit is magic. And it's practical. You know this. It's so practical. I have to be practical. And yeah, that's what I'd say.
I love that. Thank you. And it's true. You apply one thing and it changes everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just that one principle for me of holding a trash can changed everything. But thank you so much. I am so grateful to have met you kind of in person, but not in person. Zoom.
It was awesome, Henry.
Yeah, thank you so much. And anybody listening, please share this with anybody you know. Please follow Alison. I will put all the links in the show notes. I'll put it all over my social media. And thank you so much, Alison. And everybody
You're
else,
welcome. I love you, Henry.
love you too. Thank you so much. And everybody else, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, see ya.
Bye.
You just listened to Making It Happen with Henry Ammar.
Subscribe, rate it 5 stars, comment below, and if anyone you know could use this, go ahead and share it. Until next time, see ya.